after her surgery, which was a lovely gesture. And whilst Belair won't be wrestling at WrestleMania 42 in April this year, it's been reported that they are planning on having Belair appear in some capacity. Some fans have speculated that this could see Belair act as a guest host for the show, but this hasn't been confirmed at any stage. It likely depends on Belair's health and well-being, as we have little info on relation to how long her rehab and recovery is set to take place. Next up, another WWE PLE reveal for 2026. It's been reported via Bodyslam Plus via Patreon that on June 27th, Saudi Arabia will host the Night of Champions PLE. It's now becoming tradition that the country hosts the June PLE, and it's likely that WWE will be using the King and Queen of the Ring concept for the show yet again this year. There is some concern that WWE are not spacing the PLEs out enough this year. A lot of the shows post-WrestleMania only have 3 weeks to build, and this might not be enough to allow storylines and matches to be developed. Next up, John Cena shatters WWE records. Now, there's no denying that John Cena is one of the biggest WWE draws of all time, but now it's been revealed just how well Cena's final match did in terms of attendance and gate numbers back in December. According to a new report via Post Wrestling, the show drew the largest gate for any arena show in WWE history. As WWE continues to break gate records, we now know John Cena's retirement show drew the biggest live gate for an arena event in company history, and likely the highest such gate in all of pro wrestling history, even when taking inflation into account. Ticket sales for the Saturday night's main event show on December 13th in Washington, D.C. totaled $6,553,883, according to live event trade publication Polestar. By a wide margin, that surpasses the earlier record set at the beginning of 2025 when the premiere of Raw on Netflix. Now, this is a crazy stat, and these numbers could have been even higher if WWE had opted to have the retirement match take place in the stadium or an actual PLE. Do you think this record will ever be broken? Next up, a new WWE documentary incoming. The WWE are reportedly working on a new documentary, as according to WrestleVotes, the documentary will focus on none other than WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels. WrestleVotes Radio reports a new documentary centered around Shawn Michaels is nearing its premiere. WWE recently completed a full-length feature on Michaels, including several new interviews with his peers and longtime adversaries. It's unknown where the documentary will drop, but it's likely that the documentary will drop via one of WWE's respective partners, those being Netflix, ESPN, or Peacock. Next up, WWE are foolishly changing Sol Ruka's character. Sol Ruka impressed in the Women's Royal Rumble this year, but now it appears that WWE are changing up her character slightly ahead of a main roster call-up. According to WrestleVotes, the character refresh may include a brand new theme song. WWE superstar poised for a slight refresh. WrestleVotes Radio reports Sol Ruka is poised for a slight character refresh as she prepares for a jump to the WWE main roster, including the introduction of a brand new theme song. A number of internal supporters believe her time in NXT has run its course, and the main roster call-up is coming soon. Sean Ross at Fightful was previously told that Sol Ruka was tentatively planned to be in Chicago around the Elimination Chamber. Now let's hope that WWE doesn't go too far with this change, as Sol Ruka's character is fine on her own. We all know what happens when WWE messes up theme songs. Her current theme song is fine and probably doesn't even need changing. I mean, for WWE, not everybody needs a new theme song, especially when it's produced by Def Rebel. Is this a big mistake? Next up, Tiffany Stratton returning to bodybuilding. A former WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton, has announced that she's now preparing to return to competitive bodybuilding. She revealed this on TikTok, and she's currently 9 weeks out from her second ever show. Stratton did explain that she originally fell in love with bodybuilding but had to put it on hold when she signed with WWE because balancing both pursuits wasn't feasible at the time. Now, however, she feels her timing and her schedule allow her to pursue both wrestling and bodybuilding, and she plans to take her followers along for the journey.
Currently 9 weeks out from my second bodybuilding show ever, and I'm gonna step on stage again and just kind of see where things are at. I remember I fell in love with bodybuilding, and then I got signed to WWE, so I couldn't really do both at the same time, but I feel like now I'm in a position to where I feel like I can balance it now.
We're wishing her all the best. Next up, WWE wants Bad Bunny. The WWE is still reportedly interested in bringing Bad Bunny into the mix. According to a new report via WrestleVotes Radio, WWE is in contact with Bunny's representatives and they want to determine if he's available for WrestleMania 42. WWE is still interested in Bad Bunny. WrestleVotes Radio is reporting WWE had been in contact with representatives for Bad Bunny well in advance of the Super Bowl, gauging his interest and availability for WrestleMania. It's unclear where things ultimately stand at this time, but conversations were positive. One WWE source noted that the company would absolutely welcome Bad Bunny at WrestleMania, even if it's just for an appearance and not a match. A match between Bunny and Logan Paul has been heavily rumored. However, currently based on rumors alone, it's possible that WWE turns this into a multi-man match with names such as The Vision, LA Knight, and Penta all being rumored to have some role in Bunny's WrestleMania showdown. There was an update on the current Wrestling Observer newsletter which mentioned that nothing is in place yet, but it could be an ongoing discussion internally. Regarding the talk about Bunny against Logan Paul in a tag team match, we were told there was no match on the books between them right now, but the expectation that it will happen someday, but is not scheduled anytime in the near future. While Logan Paul still believes that this could be one of the greatest matches of all time if WWE can make it happen. Next up, a former WWE champion returns in a new role. Now it appears that WWE has officially brought back Shayna Baszler, albeit in a new role. Head of NXT, Shawn Michaels posted footage of recent tryouts for NXT, and in the video, she was seen as one of the coaches for the tryout. Another name that was present was Bayley, and this is interesting as the former women's champion is heavily rumored to take on a backstage role in WWE when she eventually retires. Next up, a huge actor to play Mick Foley. A widely celebrated actor is in the running to play Mick Foley in an upcoming biopic. According to Paul Walter Hauser on The Stunner, he's officially attached to play Foley in a new limited series. Yeah, we can kind of break that news. I haven't said it yet, but I'm attached to play Mick. It's a limited series. We haven't gone out to market with it yet, but it's happening. The biopic is receiving a ton of online buzz right now, so it's understandable why a top actor such as Hauser would want to associate himself with the role. And finally, CM Punk gets a spinner title. Our final story today looks at a new WWE title coming soon to WWE Shop. Yesterday was revealed that World Champion CM Punk will be honored with a new custom spinner title. This is an interesting design choice as the spinner mechanism was locked into place in 2007, so it's a bold choice to include the spinner function. There's no news of yet in relation to whether this design will be used on TV in any capacity, or it's just being introduced to celebrate Punk's history in WWE. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
Wrestling content. We just have to. We've got racing. Drag racing.
Oh, Pete.
Listen to that.
Pete was 002, grabs a big bite to go 987, 989 for Kenny Oman. And Kenny is going to come back. He's going to have himself a free ride into the semifinals, 989. Coming out on top of the 987, Jesse Cern and Mike Wildershauser coming at you now.
Oh, my tummy.
The Grand Am out of Alamogordo. The Corvette out of Levine, Arizona. Skog and Dickey. 600-inch crate motor under the hood. Winner of this going to come back and run Knapsanger. $9,901 times 2. Mike Wildershauser goes 9901, not good enough. Not when coupled with his 031. Jesse Cerna goes 008 and then dead on 1. So Jesse going to come back and run Chris. In the next round. Val Torres has a solo this time. He's going to come back and run Larry. And we will have to get Dave and Mike back as quickly as we can to determine who is going to run Ryan Smith. And our top compers should be back there set and ready to go.
Tummy in my head. Oh my goodness. Pardon me. Or kiss my butt. Whatever. Damn.
Hey, just a quick heads up for the racers. We had a racer up here earlier was looking for some fuel. The Torco truck is going to be on site tonight about 5:30. We'll be here for the rest of the weekend. So if you have a fuel need, the Torco guys will be here to do what they can to take care of you. Starting about 5:30 this evening, they'll be here all weekend long. And I know that you guys know, but Dave and Mike, for that super gas rerun, if you can just gas them up and bring them right back, we'd greatly appreciate it. And then we'll continue on with the rotation.
Okay. Everybody, it sounds like a grinding. Feel my spine just like stretch and go back in place or something. That's what it felt like anyway. Oh boy, it took my breath away. I will survive. Excuse me. Come to us. I was like, I just picked up a viewer. Oh, it's probably one of them. It is. It's show. Notification. Animated. Uh-huh. My
Super Street, meet Ron at the crosswalk, please. Super Street, meet Ron at the crosswalk.
Robert Garnett, your parents are waiting at the customer service desk. Hear that shit all the time. Not so much anymore. Paging somebody. Paging Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman. Tell him, Lars. Tell him, Lars. Smart.
Power adder or not. Brandon Hoover. The belt-driven tunnel ram down London. Couple of hair dryers. Right lane's going to leave first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he got
Don London has a parachute fall out when he let go of the button. He's going to try to overcome that, but it ain't going to happen.
Damn.
Like towing an anchor. Brandon Hoover goes 654 to 199 miles an hour. Don London, about the time the car took off.
Pretty cool.
Parachute fell out.
Chicago.
And I guarantee you London was sitting in there going, why is this thing going so slow? It feels like somebody's holding me back. Well, there you go. Somebody was holding you back. Keith Winters and Roy Hayes. Winner, this one's going to come back and take on the Brandon Hoover machine in the next run. Will Brandon have to face off with another twin-turbo car, this one with a 427 LS, or will Roy Hayes,
Canadian
with that big, loud, crazy, obnoxious Corvette,
gmail.com.
actually give the dragster a head start? That Corvette is sweet. I can tell you, when he was up here earlier, when he and Mazir were going side by side,
whatever.
I was legitimately
He's working.
trying to figure out which Corvette I liked better.
Hopefully. Le Monscri.
And I never did decide.
La.
I think I'd have to do is like, you know, both of them, you know, for a week. And then decide. Corvette pushes to the center line, and Roy's got no choice but to take his foot out of the throttle.
June 13th and 14th. And it's already shaping up to be an instant classic. Because with the full entry list now revealed, there's plenty of major storylines that you need to know. A super packed 62 car field is ready to take on Lassard across these 3 major WEC categories. And while the hypercar class this year may not be record-breaking in terms of numbers, it does, however, feature some very significant changes. Most notably, the Le Mans debut of Genesis with this brand new LMDH car. So in this video, I'll break down everything that you need to know about this epic 2026 entry list. I'll begin as always with the cars fighting for the overall victory in hypercar. And this category features 18 entries representing 8 car manufacturers, including Alpine, Aston Martin, BMW, Cadillac, Ferrari, Genesis, Peugeot, and finally Toyota. Now, I'm sure you can already notice that Porsche is absent from the hypercar grid. And the reason why is that despite earning an automatic invite by winning last year's IMSA GTP title, Porsche will not appear on the grid at all, and that is because they have no representation in the WEC's top class across the full season, meaning that the 963 is technically ineligible to compete at Le Mans this year, even though Porsche Penske Motorsport has said that they are ready to compete at Le Mans in 2026 if they were allowed to race. But back to the 2026 Le Mans entry list though for hypercar, and we begin with Aston Martin, who returned for their second hypercar appearance at Le Mans with the 007 and 009 Valkyries. The lime green tinted 007 Valkyrie features an all-British trio once again of Harry Tinknell, Tom Gamble, and Ross Gunn. Meanwhile, the 009 Aston Martin will be piloted by Alex Riberas, Marco Sorensen, and Roman DeAngelis. Toyota, meanwhile, returned for their 14th consecutive Le Mans 24-hour, fielding the updated number 7 and number 8 TR010s under the new Toyota Racing banner. But there are some notable changes to the driver lineups this year. Kamui Kobayashi, Mike Conway, and Nick DeVries reunite to form that formidable trio in the number 7, while Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, and Ryu Hirakawa once again share driving duties in the number 8 Toyota. Next up are the 2025 Le Mans pole sitters Cadillac Hertz Team Jota, as they return to the grid with the number 12 and number 38 V-Series R entries. And remember, they will be aiming to convert their qualifying speed that they had last year into a victory this time round. The number 12 will once again be driven by last year's pole sitter Alex Lynn, and he is joined by Will Stevens and Norman Nato, while the number 38 Cadillac features Sebastian Bourdais, Earl Bamber, and Jota newcomer Jack Aiken, who will make his 4th Le Mans start in 2026. 1999 overall winners BMW return with Team WRT with some major changes to their 2M hybrid V8s, as they return with the number 15 and number 20 entries with unchanged lineups from the full season. The number 15 BMW will once again be driven by Dries Vanthoor, Raffaele Marciello, and former F1 driver Kevin Magnussen, while the number 20 features Robin Freins, Rene Rast, and Sheldon van der Linde. Then we get to one of the most talked about entries on the grid this year, the GMR 001, as Genesis Magma Racing prepares to make their 24 Hours of Le Mans debut. As you can see in the bottom left corner of this list, the Southern France-based squad will field the number 17 and number 19 entries in 2026, with the number 17 being piloted by 2-time IMSA champion Pipo Derani and 3-time overall Le Mans winner Andre Lauderer, who are joined by rising French talent Matthias Eupert. And the number 19 Genesis will be driven by Danny Huncadea, Mathieu Jaminet, and Paul Le Chaton, who recently left Alpine. Speaking of Alpine, they are back on the grid, bringing both the number 35 and number 36 A424s for what could be the final Le Mans appearance of this era for the French manufacturer, following their announcement to depart the WEC after 2026. And you can find out all the details on that in the description down below with the video I made. As for the Le Mans lineups this year, the number 35 will be driven by Charles Malesi, Ferdinand Habsburg, and Antonio Felix da Costa, while the number 36 features Frederick Makovicky, Jules Gounon, and newcomer Victor Martins. Then there is Ferrari, and by now I'm sure you know that they are the benchmark heading into 2026 as the winners of the last 3 editions of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Ferrari will aim for their 13th overall victory with 3 cars in the hopes of toppling Audi as the second most successful manufacturer at Le Mans. And the factory number 50 and number 51 cars will once again come from Ferrari AF Corsa. As always, the number 50 will be driven by 2024 winners Antonio Focco, Miguel Molina, and Nicholas Nielsen, while the number 51 sees 2023 winners Alessandro Pierguidi, James Collado, and Antonio Giovinazzi back together. Meanwhile, the 2025 winning number 83 AF Corsa 499P is making a return, including Robert Kubica, Yaya Fee, and Phil Hansen in the lineup, as they make a comeback to defend their crown. Peugeot also returns with the number 93 and number 94 9X8 hypercars, though there are some notable lineup changes. The number 93 will be driven by newcomer Nick Cassidy, joined by Paul di Resta, and new to the number 93's lineup, Stoffel van Dorn, while the number 94 features 2013 Le Mans overall winner Loic Duval, alongside Malte Jakobsen and F2 champion Theo Porcher. So just to be clear, all the entries I've mentioned so far are part of the full season WEC grid, but there is one additional hypercar entry for Le Mans, and that is the number 101 Cadillac E-Series R. That's right, Wayne Taylor Racing is officially returning to Le Mans with Cadillac, fielding its familiar IMSA GTP lineup once again. The blue V-Series R will be driven by the Taylor brothers Ricky and Jordan, and they'll be joined by Felipe Albuquerque, as they aim to make an impact on the overall fight in 2026 after having a disappointing end to their 2025 campaign. Before I switch gears to the next class, you should know that the Whelen Action Express Cadillac is not returning to Le Mans this year, most likely down to Cadillac only having enough resources to bring 3 cars, plus the main 2 Whelen AXR drivers, Jack Aiken and Earl Bamber, are not available this year as they are both competing in the 38 Cadillac. Moving on to LMP2, which sees 19 cars on the grid, marking the largest P2 field we've seen at Le Mans since 2023, when the class was last integrated into the full WEC schedule. And like previous years, all of the entries on the grid are based upon the Orca 07 chassis. Right out of the gate, we got DKR Engineering kicking things off with the number 3 entry, which is backed by Alexander Matchell as the first confirmed racer. And the Luxembourg squad are actually joined on the grid by Algarve Pro Racing with 2 entries, the number 4 and the number 25. The number 4 Orca is once again run in collaboration with 2026 Daytona winners CrowdStrike Racing, featuring CrowdStrike founder George Kurtz alongside Alex Quinn as the first 2 confirmed racers. While 2 drivers are also confirmed in Car 25, who are Michael Jensen and F1 driver Jarno Trulli's son, Enzo Trulli. Now, despite no longer being in hypercar, Proton competition is involved in LMP2 with 2 entries, which are the number 9 and number 44 cars, with Jonas Reed confirmed behind the wheel of the number 9, while Stefan Ost is in the number 44 entry. Moving on to the number 14 TDS Racing entry, which is once again on the grid and confirmed to be driven by Toby Lutka and Matthias Besch so far, while 2-time Le Mans winners United Autosports will field 2 cars once more, which are the number 22 and number 222 entries, with Rasmus Lind, Greg Wasossi, and newly signed McLaren hypercar racer Mikkel Jensen completing the 22's lineup, and the number 222 United entry will be driven by Daniel Schneider, Benjamin Hanley, and Oliver Jarvis. Nielsen Racing offers Pro-Am representation with Edward Pearson confirmed so far in the number 24, and Vector Sport brings an intriguing Pro-Am package as well, featuring Ryan Cohen, Vladislav Lomoko, and Pietro Fittipaldi, followed by EDX Sport with just 1 car on the grid this year, which is the number 28 entry, confirmed to be driven by Paul Larfragu as the first driver in that lineup. Forster Racing by Panis and Team Duquesne each bring extensive experience into LMP2, with Louis Rossier in car 29 so far, and F1 Academy champion Dorian Pin confirmed in car 30 respectively, while CLX Motorsport accepts their ELMS invite after winning the LMP3 title last year, with the Swiss team bringing car 37 back to the grid with Adrian Klausmanil, Ian Aguilera, and Theodore Jensen as the 3 drivers. Then we have the defending winners inter-Europol competition with 2 cars on the grid, the number 43 and the number 343 entries, as they look to capture their 3rd win in France. Last year's winners Jakub Schmakowski, Tom Dillman, and Nick Yololi are back on board car 43, while 2024 Le Mans winner Bejoy Garg is confirmed in the 343's lineup. And those entries are followed by RD Limited with the number 48 car, which has Fred Portad behind the wheel and 2-time overall Le Mans winner with Audi and Porsche, Romain Dumont, making his return to Le Mans in his own team's car. Elsewhere, Spike the Dragon is back on the grid from AO Racing by TF Sport as the squad accept their invite to run car 99, with PJ Hyatt accepting his individual invite from being the best placed bronze in IMSA, joined by Dane Cameron and Louis Delatraz in the Orca as they return behind the wheel. And finally, AF Corsa rounds out the P2 field with their number 183 Orca, confirmed to be driven by Francois Perotto and Mathieu Vaxivière, with the 3rd racer yet to be named. Enough of the prototypes though, let's get into the highly anticipated LMGP3 class, which is a category featuring a record-breaking 25 cars this year, representing 9 car brands, including Aston Martin, BMW, Chevrolet, Ferrari, Ford, Lexus, McLaren, Mercedes-AMG, and Porsche. Starting off with TF Sport, who amazingly bring 3 Corvettes to the grid, which are the ELMS invited number 2 Corvette, joined by the 2 full season cars, the 33 and the 34 Z06 entries. So far, the number 2 Corvette is confirmed to be driven by Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim, a driver we've seen race a Corvette before with Johar Motorsports JMR. Meanwhile, the number 33
You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, my goodness. This just goes on to prove my point that the NFL, greed. They have a greed problem, and at some point, it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. One could argue you started seeing chinks in the armor with this Super Bowl. You started to see it. We know that 11 million less households in the United States tuned into that Super Bowl. 18 million less in the United States tuned in for the halftime show. But that was a drop.
It was on my TV,
not a rise. The NFL is so used to a rise in viewership.
I've got 5 screens going right now.
But the problem is they want to go global, and they've basically started turning their backs on America. Well, we got a situation now where the NFL is looking to opt out of their media rights deal as soon as possible. I did a video the other day. The NFL is furious because the NBA is making so much money now off their media rights deal. The NBA's like, oh, bullshit on this. We get way, way more viewers than the NBA, and the NFL is looking to strike. Now, one of the biggest complaints among everybody is that can the NFL please back off of these streaming exclusive games? The Peacocks and the Netflix and the Amazons and the... One of the things you could always count on was that you could sit down on a Sunday or on a Sunday night, Monday night, and this was prior to it going to ESPN, or a Thursday night, and you could have a over-the-air free antenna. You got your antenna running outside your house, right? They make some damn good ones.
That's your antenna right
I
here,
think
buddy.
John's got one that's his primary television viewing system. He gets like 200 channels down there around Houston. And by the way, I keep saying there's a movement for people to switch back to antenna.
Goodness gracious.
Because, well, YouTube TV is $85 or $100. Well, the NFL is not listening to fans. And they don't care. Because it looks to me like, after reading this article, the NFL is dead set on taking more games away from network television, away from ABC, away from CBS, away from NBC, and away from Fox, and move it to a streaming service. And that's part of this as well. The NFL is closing in on a new wave of TV deals. The league has the ability to pull the plug early on current contracts. With the exception of ESPN's arrangement, all relationships can be ended after 2029. And they will be, unless they're extended at a sizable increase to the current commitment. John Orand of Puck has taken a close look at what the details may entail. And guys, I tried to go over to Puck. It's behind a paywall. I'm not paying for that. It was obvious in May of 2024, once the early numbers emerged as to the recent NBA deals, that the NFL would want more, a lot more. As Oran explains, the current NBA, quote, cost per viewer hour triples the NFL's existing figure. That could lead to a possible doubling of the current $10 billion a year haul the NFL gets solely from its broadcast rights. So you're reading that correctly. You're hearing this correctly. A new deal could go to $20 billion a year into the NFL's pockets. Listen to this. The teams could go from getting $312.5 million to $625 million each. Wow. The current thinking is that the league will find a way to carve up, listen to this, carve up the current slate of 272 regular season games and 13 postseason games and give every interested network and streamer a seat at the table if they will pay for the meal. This is the most concerning part if you hate the direction things are going. One possibility, as Oren explains it, is that streamers like Netflix and YouTube would get 5-game packages. By the way, that YouTube game experience that they did last year, from a ratings perspective, it fell on its ass. The ratings weren't nearly what the NFL thought they were going to be, because they were like, oh, it's free on YouTube. And then they found out, oh, there's still a shit ton of people out there that don't know how to find YouTube on their TV, nor do they want to go look for it when they just want to sit down and watch a football game. The NFL is forgetting about one key word. One key word. Convenience. People want things to just be convenient. They don't want to have to go through and look and, oh, a lot of people watch YouTube without an avatar or screen name or nothing. They just watch it as a guest. And they never create an account. None of that. Oran also suggests that Amazon, listen to this, Amazon may try to flip its current Thursday night footprint for the Sunday night football package NBC acquired in 2006. So they're saying that Sunday night football could go to Amazon. Jesus. I mean, look, Sunday night football is shown on Peacock, but it's shown on NBC still. the actual network, and the ratings, I've seen them, they're way different. I mean, the ratings are still gargantuan on network television. Don't let the NFL blow smoke up your ass. The ratings on free network television for primetime games still destroy every rating that a streamer gets. They're still by far the highest. It just is what it is. Then there's the looming possibility the NFL will mobilize quickly after the NFL Players Association has its new executive director expand the regular season to 18 games as soon as 2027. There's more games, there's more money to be made. That would add another 16 regular season games to the mix, pushing the total available games to 301. However, as it goes, the price will keep going up, and the networks and streamers will pay for it. And what they're looking for, I can tell you, the reason they want to do these little 5-game packs is because, like, Netflix will probably pay them, $650, $700 million just for 5 games. I mean, we talked about this the other day. I don't remember if it was on this channel or not, or a different channel, but a lot of people are getting rid of Netflix. They have gotten rid of Netflix for various reasons. They've gotten rid of a lot of streamers. There's a movement to get rid of streamers because we were all sold a bogus bill of goods when it comes to streaming. Oh, it's supposed to make your dish and your cable bill go down. Like, it's going to be way cheaper. We have all found that out to be bullshit. Who used to say, that's a lie? That's a lie. Tell me what you think in the comments section about the NFL's ongoing greed problem. I am all for capitalism. However, I am not all for pissing in the face of your clientele. I'm not for that either. I'm just letting you know. I'm not okay with that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, what's this you say? There's another Democrat hoax that just dropped? Another Democrat false flag, psyop, whatever you want to call it? Well, color me shocked. Who would have ever expected Democrats to engage in this kind of behavior? Yeah, obviously, you can sense the sarcasm in my voice. More like another day, another Democrat psyop. What's new? Nothing surprising here, except actually maybe there is something a little bit surprising, and it kind of, comes back to a little bit of an I told you so moment or prediction that I made accurately months ago. Yeah, this psyop is internal. It's Democrat versus Democrat, as the DNC establishment was just caught coordinating with Stephen Colbert to uplift their new young talent there, totally organic talent, James Tallarico. More corrupt actions by the DNC, but this time, interestingly, targeting one of their own. All of this, of course, in an attempt to stop Jasmine Crockett. It's exactly like I said. They were going to use every trick in the book, any means necessary, to stop her from winning that nomination. And now, of course, you see the extent of Democrat depravity once again. Let me update you guys on the whole story. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's dive into this putrid mess. It all started with a Stephen Colbert segment. Mr. Vaccine himself. Well, he basically proved exactly what we've been saying for the last couple of years, that he's simply a propaganda arm for the DNC. And so it appears he concocted this little scheme with James Tallarico, this young Texas state representative who's now running for the U.S. Senate, of course, in the Democrat primary against Jasmine Crockett. Well, Stephen Colbert tapes this interview with James Tallarico, which was unbeknownst to us, but then he goes on air on Monday crying these crocodile tears, claiming that CBS lawyers actually forbade him from airing the segment because the FCC, by the demand of Donald Trump himself, shut down the segment because of an FCC equal times rule. They, of course, painted this whole thing as more Trump censorship, just like the whole Jimmy Kimmel hoax. But right off the bat, something seemed a little bit fishy. Why exactly would Donald Trump step in to stop James Tallarico, who's running against other Democrats right now? Don't you find it a little bit counterintuitive? What horse does he have in that race? And why would he give James Tallarico this beautiful gift, this optics gift, where he can then play victim? Oh, woe is me, Donald Trump shut me down. Why would he do that? You know, none of it really makes sense. And then we learned, well, because it makes no frickin' sense. The whole thing was a lie. CBS quickly issued a statement slapping down the narrative, saying, quote, he was not prohibited from airing the interview at all. Instead, their legal team advised that broadcasting it could trigger the FCC equal time rules because legally, Stephen Colbert, if he's interviewing a particular candidate who's running in a current election, he has to offer equal time to other legally qualified candidates, which is, of course, Jasmine Crockett. In other words, CBS gave him basic legal consultation as to following federal broadcasting regulations, and then they took that opportunity to create this entire hoax to bump up James Tallarico's name. And they have lied throughout this entire process. And I'll show you just how deep it goes, because not only are they lying relating to Donald Trump and Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC's supposed involvement here, they had no involvement, it never even got to them. Not only are they lying about that to create this narrative, but they also recently claimed that they offered an invite to Jasmine Crockett. But this, my friends, is flat out false. And Jasmine Crockett seems pretty pissed. Rightfully so. You won't find me often agreeing with Jasmine Crockett, but, you know, absolutely, she's got a reason to be frickin' pissed here.
We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this segment. Number one, that is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down, and we will do an official statement once we get another official statement that we anticipate is going to be coming from Paramount. All right, so we will read what they say, and then we'll go from there. It is our understanding that Colbert, either Mr. Colbert or CBS, decided that they just didn't want to hear it. And this was because of a fear that the FCC may say something to them, and that there may have been advice to just have me on, and then they could clear the issue. It was my understanding that someone somewhere decided we just don't want to do that, and instead we're going to just do it this way.
And it really shows you just how depraved these actions were from the Democrat establishment to get somebody like Jasmine Crockett, who's usually always the first to jump on the Trump-bashing bandwagon, to have her drop the act and actually defend Donald Trump from any involvement here and go after these clowns. It's perfect. And it shows you the level of corruption. This is what Democrats do. They never fight on the ideas. It's never about the campaign you're running, but rather what kind of schemes and games you could get involved in to manufacture votes, to manufacture name recognition, to create false narratives of victimhood or, you know, fighting the man. They wanted to boost James Tallarico, and so they concocted this whole two-bit frickin' scam in a way to prop up their boy, because James Tallarico's biggest problem, his biggest issue is that he's young, he's unproven, and most people don't even know who the hell he is. And so instead of uplifting him as a normal talent, they do this. Absolutely crazy. And I think it really exposes who James Tallarico is as well. You know, what's really wild is that now that all of this has been totally uncovered, they lied. James Tallarico is still pushing this whole I'm a Trump victim nonsense.
What was your first reaction when you discovered what was happening to you at CBS yesterday?
I mean, it felt a little like deja vu because we had just gone through this with The View. Trump's FCC launched an investigation into The View after I appeared on that program. And so to have it happen again with The Late Show, again, just felt like a bad rerun. And it should be troubling to all of us, regardless of our political affiliations or our political beliefs, that the most powerful people in the country, the most powerful politicians, and the most powerful corporate executives are are working together to sell out the First Amendment, to sell out our freedom of speech in order to protect their own power and their own wealth. And that should be concerning to all of us, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're a progressive or conservative, because an attack on any one of our First Amendment rights is an attack on all of our First Amendment rights. The reason the Trump administration and their billionaire friends are trying to silence me and this movement is because they're worried that we are going to flip Texas in November of this year. There is a growing backlash across our state to the extremism and the corruption in our government. And we are building a movement to take back our state and take back our country.
And so it really shows you exactly who this guy is as well. You know, he seems to be playing this role as if he's an authentic political outsider, but obviously he's just another dishonest actor, another actor in this Democrat Hollywood production. He's lying through his teeth to keep the grift going. Once again, we see the lack of authenticity on the Democrat side. Their supposed grassroots characters that are the future of the party, they usually audition for the role, just like AOC did. Everything is smoke and mirrors. Everything is puppeteering. There's always an angle. There's always a scheme. There's always a dishonest operation. And here's yet again another one of those dishonest Democrat operations fully exposed. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
What's up, Meta Nerds? After breaking down the Home 1, let's get into what might be the second most popular Mon-Cal creation. The MC-80 Liberty-type Heavy Star Cruiser, simply known as the Liberty-class cruiser, was a heavy star cruiser that typically measured 1,200 meters in length, though some ships of this line reached up to 1,500 meters, or about 3,937 feet, making the shortest ones of this line just a bit longer than the Venator, and the longest variant just a Zillow Beast plus Jawa triplets shorter than the ISD. This vessel was part of the MC-80 Star Cruiser line, which included two main types. One of these was that larger one, which most of us know as the heavily armed MC-80A Home 1 type Heavy Star Cruiser. Mon Calamari shipyards manufactured the Liberty cruisers, which were priced at 104 million credits each, making them less than the ISD and almost 2 times the Venator. If the naming convention isn't confusing enough already, there is another similar Mon Calamari Star Cruiser, dubbed in canon as the Unidentified Cruiser, but in Legends it was always called the MC-80A, and did resemble the Liberty but lacked the distinct port and starboard wings. And it's not just the diversity over all these different lines, but no two MC-80s were alike. Each was built with a unique design tailored for its original role as a civilian transport. These ships served as long-range explorers or luxury passenger vessels, and each cruiser was carefully handcrafted by whoever commissioned it with precise specifications. These ships were long, sleek, and had an organic shape, and were able to rival the Imperial II-class Star Destroyers in both length and overall mass. They were sturdy, over-engineered, and well-suited for the challenges of constant interstellar travel and combat. The Liberty class could carry enough supplies for 2 years of constant operation. Going inside, you would see water-filled corridors for the Mon Calamari crew, who would swim through the ship just like we see in their cities on Mon Cala, though eventually these were drained and replaced with floors and ventilation systems, and thousands of ports from the civilian control stations requiring specific movements that other species could not replicate. The pale interior featured multiple passageways, a communication center, storage rooms, security areas, and airlocks. Even some of the original Liberty cruisers came with military-grade deflector shields, and of course, 975 kilometers per hour in atmosphere, putting it right there with the Venator and exactly the same as the ISD. They had a primary Class 1 hypertruck. It's very rarely seen in ships of this size, though the Great Venator was a Class 1 also. I can go on a whole tangent on how this feature allowed the Republic to secure such large areas of space from the greater number of CIS forces, but we'll get more into that in the Venator video. These ships were fitted with long-range sensors and escape pods in their civilian models, and despite their power and versatility, they were difficult to maintain due to their unique design for each vessel, which often meant that components were not interchangeable, even if you had a bunch of what were still called Liberty-type ships. This made the Rebel Alliance cautious in how and where they deployed them. Most Liberty-class ships typically had a ventral hangar bay, while some models included a port-side hangar with a hangar door. Beneath their sleek exteriors, they hid heavy weaponry in strong holes that often took the Imperials by surprise. Standard armaments included retrofitted twin heavy turbolaser batteries, which were 48 in total, divided evenly with 12 facing forward, 12 to each side, and 12 at the aft. They were also equipped with 20 twin battleship ion cannon batteries, arranged similarly with 5 in each direction. And while these cruisers lacked point defense laser cannons, they boasted 6 heavy tractor beam projectors and missile tubes. They also carried massive ion cannons mounted along their broadside, and so when you put it all together, these are one of the few ships in the Rebel line that actually combines ion cannons, tractor beams to hold them in place, missiles which were harder for the Rebels to come across, and turbolaser batteries that were as strong as those on the ISD, all proving why the Mon Cala ships were the most important warships of the Rebel Alliance. A Liberty cruiser typically had a full wing of 3 squadrons or 36 starfighters, with 1 squadron often dedicated to reconnaissance. However, they had the capacity to carry up to 10 squadrons, totaling 72 starfighters, and their usual complement would also include shuttles, landing craft, and various utility vehicles, while supporting a passenger capacity of 1,200 soldiers. Ships with portside hangar bays featured an opening behind the hangar, housing a weapons control room with 3 large ion cannons extending beyond the hull, protected by a shield. These cannons could be vulnerable, exposing their cooling coils and causing explosive reactions if damaged. The Liberty cruiser's crew numbered 5,402, including officers, pilots, and enlisted members. Command crews were usually Mon Calamari, though refits allowed other species such as humans, Celestins, and Quarrens to serve aboard. The Starfighter wing was commanded by a wing commander, who reported to the ship's captain and the fleet's fighter command. Despite being designed with Mon Calamari in mind, over the years they had to adapt to a diverse range of crew members. As mentioned, these cruisers were originally built as civilian ships for long-range exploration, or as enormous luxury yachts, packed full of luxury quality touches like our sponsor Helix. Let me pause and thank Helix for sponsoring this video. This thing is so comfortable, in part because I was able to customize it to fit my needs by filling out their sleep quiz, asking you what position you sleep on, do you like the mattress soft, medium, or firm, any body aches you might have, temperatures, all sorts of specifics. I was matched with the Midnight Lux, and in this past week, I am loving it. I took the sheets off to film this, don't worry, I'm not that much of a Mando ascetic. I don't know about you guys, but I've tried to buy at the big stores, and there's just so much runaround and upsale. I love the convenience of Helix with 20 unique mattresses to choose from, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections. Even the Helix Plus for big and tall sleepers to Helix Kids for growing bodies, which is endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. I think their sleep quiz works great to pair you, and it is sent straight to your door with free shipping in the United States, in a vacuum package that makes it easy to get into the room. Then you just open it up and it expands where you want it. There is also a 100-night sleep trial to make sure you like it, and a 10-year warranty so you can sleep easy about this purchase, while also offering financing options and flexible payment plans. I think this detail is incredible. In a Wesper sleep study using FDA-cleared, clinically validated devices, they upgraded people to a Helix and had 82% of their participants see an increase in their deep sleep cycle, specifically 25 or more minutes of deep sleep per night, and an average of 39 minutes of overall sleep per night. Be sure to check them out using the link in the description, or this QR code. Their Black Friday sale is running now for a limited time. Visit helixsleep.com/metanerds and use promo code HelixPartner27 to get 27% off your mattress purchase, plus 2 free pillows, and receive a free bedding bundle with your Luxe or Elite order. Thanks again to Helix. But once refitted, they became part of the Mon Calamari Planetary Defense Fleet, protecting the Mon Calamari system and its colonies. As more of these ships were converted, they took on the role of heavy battle cruisers for the Rebel Alliance, serving as starfighter carriers, command ships, and security cruisers for major engagements. They often maintained a fleet of support ships and functioned as mobile bases for starfighter patrols or as protection for critical Alliance assets like shipyards and command staff. When deployed in combat, a Liberty cruiser typically used a broadside attack against enemy warships. If one side of the ship faced significant threat, it could reposition its shields to defend that flank specifically. Without built-in point defense weapons, Liberty cruisers relied heavily on their starfighter squadrons to guard against bombers, patrol boats, gunships, and boarding vessels. In 2 BBY, before the formal declaration of the Rebel Alliance, Mon Calamari star cruisers underwent significant refits at the Talaris Rebel star docks. This effort aimed to transform them into proper warships following repeated evacuations from their homeworld, Mon Cala. Among these ships were the MC-75 Profundity, the several MC-80A Home 1 type heavy star cruisers, along with many others. And after the destruction of Alderaan and Zero BBY, the MC-80 Liberty-type heavy star cruiser Aurora became the flagship of a fleet commanded by Admiral Akbar. This fleet included 8 EF-76 Nebulon B escort frigates, 8 CR-90 corvettes, 5 GR-75 medium transports, and a mix of T-65B X-Wing starfighters, BTL A-4 Y-Wing bombers, and UT-60D U-Wing support craft from Echo Squadron. The fleet intercepted a distress call from an Alderaanian refugee convoy at the trading port Foster Haven, prompting Echo Squadron to respond. Upon arrival, they were met by an Imperial fleet led by Commodore Ray Sloan, and quickly called for reinforcements. The Aurora and its support ships soon arrived at Foster Haven and engaged the Imperial II-class Star Destroyer Vigilance. Despite the loss of one frigate, the Alliance forces successfully rescued the refugees and managed to retreat with the remaining fleet intact. During the Galactic Civil War, the Empire launched an invasion of the planet Zorn in the Farah sector with a task force consisting of the Gladiator-class Star Destroyer Blood Ambition and the Raider-class corvettes Sargonton and Warhawk. In response, the Rebel Alliance sent a naval squadron called the Allied Armada, which included 2 MC-80 Liberty cruisers and several other warships. A few months after a mutiny on Mon Cala led to the escape of star cruisers from the Mon Cala mercantile fleet, at least 12 MC-80 Liberty cruisers gathered with the other newly acquired ships at the Alliance's Mako Ta space docks. The Rebel Alliance Navy had retrofitted several Mon Calamari cruisers with Shrew Tarun systems and assembled Alliance leaders and ambassadors for a ceremonial launch. Among the assembled ships was the Liberty itself, and in total, about 37 Mon Calamari star cruisers were present for this event. But as the ceremony began, it became clear that critical systems across the fleet were non-functional. And at that moment, Darth Vader and the Imperial Death Squadron, which included the Executor, and 3 Imperial II-class Star Destroyers emerged from hyperspace and destroyed the cruiser Yavin's Hope. Death Squadron launched a full-scale assault on the Mako Ta space docks, bombarding the defenseless Alliance warships. When the Rebel starfighters managed to take off, Death Squadron countered by releasing all their fighter wings. The MC-80A Republic was one of the first to regain functionality, using clearance codes to bring its systems online and escape. It returned to help the remaining Alliance fleet, and once the codes were distributed, several MC-80 Liberty cruisers managed to jump into hyperspace and avoid destruction. After the Battle of Hoth and 3 ABY, the Rebel Alliance Navy broke into several divisions, including the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 11th divisions. While some divisions were lost, the 4th, 7th, and 11th managed to regroup and travel to Parnesia, where they would aid the 2nd Division, which was under attack by the ISD Tarkin's Will. The combined Rebel fleet included various warships, among them at least 2 MC-80 Liberty cruisers, and 3 MC-80A Home Ones. There is the odd case of one of these Liberty cruisers facing serious issues when its systems malfunctioned, and starfighters collided in the flight deck, leading to crew injuries and hospitalizations. But it was later discovered that the cruiser had been sabotaged. While on a different mission, an MC-80 Liberty cruiser led an attack on an Imperial weapons lab, showing the surprising maneuverability of this ship as it navigated a narrow path through this sector. In 4 ABY, after discovering the existence of the 2nd Death Star at Endor, along with the Emperor's presence there, the Rebel Alliance gathered most of its navy at Sullust. Around this time, the Liberty cruiser Invincible Faith intercepted a coded message from Moff Derek Wraith, revealing that the information gained by the Bothan spies was actually a trap. In response, the Imperial Special Forces Unit Inferno Squadron infiltrated the Invisible Faith to delete the message. Commander Iden Versio allowed herself to be captured and taken aboard, while her ID-10 Seeker droid infiltrated the ship separately. The droid navigated past Alliance personnel to reach Versio, who freed herself and escaped the brig. During this, Admiral Akbar called on the Invincible Faith in order to join their assault on the Death Star.
This proves we will divert the Empire's attention away from Sullust. We are amassing the fleet in preparation for our attack on Endor.
Versio and her droid managed to reach the communication center, deleted the message, and triggered a general alarm. After fighting off Alliance forces, she escaped through an airlock and was retrieved by her starship, the Corvus, just as the Invincible Faith began firing its ion cannons. Once the fleet was fully assembled at Sullust and a strike team infiltrated Endor to disable the Death Star's shield generator, the Alliance fleet traveled to Endor via the Sanctuary pipeline. The fleet included several Mon Cal star cruisers, with at least 5 MC-80 Liberty-type heavy star cruisers among them. When it was discovered that the deflector shield was still active, General Lando Calrissian and Admiral Akbar ordered the fleet to pull back.
It It's a trap!
The Imperial fleet launched its fighters, sparking intense battles around the Alliance ships. A TIE interceptor would crash into the ventral hangar of one of these cruisers, which was then soon destroyed by the Death Star's super laser, obliterating the Liberty and nearby ships. After the MC-80A Nautilin met the same fate, Calrissian convinced Akbar to engage the Star Destroyers at close range, reasoning that they could take down some ships before the fleet was overwhelmed.
We'll last longer than we will against that Death Star, and we might just take a few of them with us.
The Alliance fleet pressed the attack, with Liberty cruisers engaging fire with Star Destroyers. When the ground team disabled the shield generator, fighters stormed the Death Star's interior while the fleet concentrated fire on the Executor. Though, of course, it would be taken out by the smallest unit in their entire fleet. After the Death Star's destruction, an MC-80 Liberty cruiser descended to Endor's surface as Alliance dropships delivered reinforcements. Inferno Squadron, stationed near the ruined shield generator, did manage to escape and reach orbit, where two MC-80 Liberty cruisers navigated through the Death Star's wreckage, toward a third cruiser battling the ISD Eviscerator. Inferno Squadron fought off rebel forces and regrouped with the Eviscerator before making their escape. Then, shortly after the Battle of Endor, a Liberty cruiser led a small fleet that included 4 CR-90 corvettes and numerous starfighters in an attack on Fondor. Their target was the Fondor shipyards and the docked Imperial Star Destroyer Dauntless. The Liberty cruiser launched 3 UT-60D U-wing support craft and fired its powerful broadside ion cannons at the Dauntless. But Inferno Squad intervened and destroyed the transports. Acting on Moff Wraith's orders, Iden Versio boarded the cruiser, sabotaging it from within. This damage caused one of the CR-90s to crash into the cruiser, and the Dauntless broke free of the shipyard and unleashed its firepower on the cruiser, resulting in a dazzling explosion and Imperial victory. After a raid on the Wretch of Tehran, the Alliance uncovered details of Operation Cinder, part of the Emperor's posthumous contingency plan aimed at devastating Imperial worlds. And determined to save as many as they could, the Alliance prepared to act, and during a skirmish on Vardos, Versio and Delmico surrendered to the Alliance and were taken aboard the Liberty cruiser Restoration. And it was in the hangar bay that General Lando Calrissian convinced them to join the mission to stop Operation Cinder on Naboo. The Alliance fleet, including Danger Squadron, the Restoration, and the Melcrawler II, were able to work with the local Naboo forces in order to secure a victory. When the alliance to restore the Republic became the New Republic, many of these ships continued their service in the New Republic Defense Force. One Liberty cruiser played a key role in the Battle of Var Shah, fighting alongside an MC-75 Star Cruiser and an MC-95E Star Cruiser, along with supporting frigates and corvettes. The combined fleet successfully destroyed the Var Shah dockyard and an Imperial
Park, a special occasion.
You work for something for as long as I can remember. They're all a really big deal. So I do think winning at your home track is adds a level of special to it, no question. But just it's hard to rank them in order.
Now, Elliott also tells us he's looking forward to building on his strong 2025 campaign. He finished with 2 wins and 19 top 10s. Well, with all this talk of driving fast, I don't think I could do it, Gloria Ruth. Could you?
I don't think so either, but I do know one person who has. WGXA's William Bazone put down some laps at the Richard Petty Racing Experience. He's joining us live to tell us about what he learned on the track.
Hey, Gloria, Ruth, and Amanda, I certainly learned a lot. As you can see behind me here, and as Brandon was talking about just a few minutes ago, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series qualifying going on right now, and as these guys are suiting up, they're going much faster than really anybody thinks they can go. It looks easy on TV, but once you get behind the wheel, there's a lot more that meets the eye than you might see on your big screen at home. From your couch, NASCAR looks like an easy sport. Drivers turning left, going 180 miles an hour, week after week. It looks like something you and I could do. This weekend, 3 drivers will end up in victory lane at Echo Park Speedway right here behind me. But there's a lot more that it takes to get here than you might think. That's where the NASCAR racing experience comes in. The track recently hosted a session, and I got a chance to see how hard it really is. First, it's the racing suit, then it's a trip to the classroom, watching a video on how to drive these cars, plus a few words of advice from Kyle, our crew chief.
And you will also see 4 sets of dots out there, and those are the dots that you want to split in order to get your fastest lap time and making sure that you get the most out of the car.
Still sounds easy, right? I went to the track full of confidence, but my first lap gave me my biggest hurdles yet. Trouble getting into gear, then... Yep, I stalled it. I will forever be known as the guy who couldn't get the car going. One big push later, we were off to the races. In the end, I topped out at 125 miles an hour, far from the speed of NASCAR's best drivers. For a few laps, it was a chance to feel what they feel for 36 weeks a year. And the biggest lesson I learned? Sometimes you have to drive in circles to really appreciate driving in circles. On the road at Echo Park Speedway, William Bazone, WGXA News. Yeah, as you saw there, a lot harder than it looks on TV. And if you want to take place in the NASCAR racing experience, put some laps down yourself. Echo Park Speedway is hosting a few different dates throughout the spring. Make sure you go to echoparkspeedway.com/events to see that full list. Amanda, Gloria, Ruth will check in with you in turn 1 in just a little bit.
Thank you, William. Well, here's a quick look at the NASCAR standings as we head into the Cup Series race on Sunday. Tyler Reddick of 2311 Racing won the Daytona 500, and he's first in points with 58. Joey Logano of Team Penske trails Reddick by just 12 points. Hometown hero Chase Elliott sits in third with 43 points. Zane Smith from Front Row Motorsports won the race's first stage and scored 41 points. And rounding out the top 5 is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., finishing in second behind Reddick and scoring 40.
Meanwhile, last year's Atlanta Spring winner Christopher Bell is hoping to put Daytona in the rearview mirror. The Joe Gibbs racing driver was involved in a crash with 9 laps to go, finishing 35th on the day. Earlier this week, he told us he's excited to get back to Echo Park Speedway and likes the challenges it presents. But with the new playoffs format, the focus is on points over wins. The strategy for the number 20 team may look a little different than in years past.
I think all of us would rather go to, a normal intermediate style track or short track or even a road course to have a little bit more control of your own destiny. But with that being said, Echo Park is one of the most fun tracks on the schedule because of the runs that you get, the racing that it provides. So, yeah, certainly, having 2 speedway races back to back can be a little daunting.
Well, Bell is coming off a 5th place finish in the 2025 standings. He won 4 races and placed in the top 10 22 times.
And take a look at this. A small robot is in charge of a big job before the green flags drop this weekend. It stenciled the infield with all those race day graphics. Crews load a digital design from a tablet, and the robot uses GPS to paint everything with precision. And get this, there's no remote control here. The robot drives all by itself. Well, the bad news is the victory burnouts might wipe out its hard work. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
2.228. Understanding the different types of tracks that he's going to be racing at. It's
really cool. I think he's gonna be a lot of fun to follow this year. It's all about there in eighth.
What's up, Jesus?
That won the last time.
Here's the 07.
No pressure in Hampton, Georgia. But he, to be honest, I
The
don't
07 of Josh Balicki Chevrolet.
mature. He can manage all of that, even though I know
Josh Balicki. No, the 17 negative squirrel is going to be with Corey Day all season. Corey Day running a full-time.
What do you think? Oh, gosh. And do you need them?
I would love to say I'm going to have a bunch of friends, but I'm going to say maybe one. And I'm going to say that that's probably going to be Jesse.
Coffee shop. Tell us what happened.
So I lost power at home. I needed to go do something on the internet. Found a local coffee shop, sat down with my laptop, connected to their Wi-Fi, thought everything was okay. It wasn't. Well, about a couple days later, I started to see weird messages popping up. People were using my identity, and what they'd done is they'd registered a corporation that apparently hires out clowns.
Follow me on TikTok at LA Glizzy News.
Yep, LA Glizzy News. Follow him, guys. It's also in the description.
I'm just looking forward to it. Atlanta's been good to us, but there's been a little bit of luck on our side. So we're just going to go out there, do our job, do what we do best with our Bennett Chevrolet, provide RCR, ACR, CT Springs. They just know as well fast Chevrolets when we come here. So looking forward to it.
Not, no, boss. Not at all.
All right, shout out Novicity, or how do you say his name?
Novicity, brother.
Anything on TikTok is public. That's right. All right, Chandra.
22nd, Josh Balicki was also on track during the interview. You talk Austin Hill, and he's right there with the best all time when you talk win percentage. He is the best all time when you talk about wins in the draft in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
At some point, it has to flip on him, right? I mean, like.
All right, let him know I said thank you for that. Thank you for.
Like the caution's got to fall wrong, or the restart's got to go wrong.